Hey, David, congratulations on this. Pro athletes frequently don't get to really orchestrate how they leave the game, but just in terms of being able to play your last game in St. Louis in May and now having this happen, is it as close as you could come to maybe scripting a departure?
Yeah, I think maybe option A is to win a Stanley Cup in your last game. Option B was probably the way my last week in the league went, with the two games in St. Louis, played my last game there, and then the final two games for the Ducks were in Minnesota, where I grew up, obviously. So, I didn't play a game there, but I was able to be home by family, have some friends come out to those games, and just share a little NHL experience one more time with them. And I just I can't believe that's the way that my last week went, and I'm so grateful for it. And that reception in St. Louis is something singed in my brain, and all those festivities obviously meant a ton to me, and happy that I can have this opportunity to be part of the Blues organization again at the end of my career.
David, what have you been doing? David, what have you been doing since the season ended?
Well, my daughter was in kindergarten last year, so we stayed in California till mid-June, and then made the pilgrimage back to Minnesota like we have every other summer. Spent the summer in Minnesota around family and friends. Kelly's father's suffering from early onset Alzheimer's, so extra memories with him, and just kind of being able to put some things into perspective of how much family time really matters, and those moments are critical. And so we did that for a lot of the summer, and now we're back in California for the school year, and we'll see what opportunities come up and what this wonderful life has next for us on the docket, which may be just being husband and wife and family, and enjoying some of the fruits of a 15-year career, and having the opportunity to be together on a regular basis.
Were you thinking about it at all, or was it all already settled in your mind that you were retired?
Well, last year was, I think, a difficult year for everyone with COVID, and then you put in the protocols and the lack of fans and a little bit of isolation. I spent a ton of time on the taxi squad, which is suboptimal, played 15 games or so. Like I said in that letter, I'd wanted to play 1,000 games. So the idea of, well, just one more year, but then you start thinking of the practicality of, okay, it's an 82 game season. Does somebody even want me, first of all? And then if you're on a team, are you able to get in the lineup for 35 games, stay healthy? I've had some health issues, obviously, in the past. So I felt like the game was kind of done with me, and truthfully, felt like I was mostly done with the game as well. So I think it felt right with the ending we were able to have, with all the things. Does 35 more games to get me to 1,000, somehow make me whole inside? I don't think it does. I think it's all these memories that are coming back, and the people that have messaged me today, and the sentiment that is shared, with the places I played and the people we've connected with. And that's really impactful to me. And we settled down on, I have been gone for a lot of, kids' activities and things. And it's time for me to, reconnect with family, and to be present, and, be grateful for all the opportunities we did have, but now to be, in this next chapter, which just feels right. And again, the script seems too good to be true of how it ended. And now the Blues being interested in a one-day contract, so I could come back there and end this where it all began. After seeing Barrett do that, it really clicked with me that that's an awesome opportunity, and to have that has been phenomenal.
David, when you look back on your career, how do you want to be remembered as a player?
I'm hoping that, I think that's something that other people have to decide how I will be remembered, how I hope to be remembered, as a guy that gave it all and did everything in my power and didn't waste an opportunity, left it all on the ice, and, was a great teammate to the guys that I was wearing the same sweater as. And, again, the statistical component of it, the on ice success as a team, that is what it is. But if I'm remembered as a guy that was dependable, that was responsible, that cared for people, and then went out there and did it myself, to me, that's all that matters as I leave this game.
Hey, David, it's Joe Haggerty up here in Boston. Congrats on retirement.
Thank you.
Thanks for being so personable, so professional, so accountable during your time in Boston. And I know you addressed this a little bit in your letter, but just what do you take away from when you look back now in retrospect from those years when you were with the Bruins?
I did address it a little bit. I think those years in Boston were I'd say humbling in a few regards. First of all, guys, I'd spent the first 10 years of my career in St. Louis, never had to move. Once I knew the community relations guy or the public relations guy or the security guard or, the general manager, or assistant general manager, training staff, like those are my guys, and those are my guys for 10 years. So maybe you got a new face, you had to learn one new name, or you had to learn 6 new prospects that were in camp. But for me, it was, those are all new things. You don't bring those people, nor the people that are away from the game, with you to the next city. So I got a new respect for the guys that change teams frequently. And then I had a new role when I got to Boston. I was no longer the captain or the guy that was looked upon to be the clutch guy or to play in big situations. There were guys that were already in those roles and doing a really good job of it in Boston. So I had to be more of a supporting cast. And I think my time as being in those other roles certainly helped me on how to be a good supporting cast member, to take direction from the leadership, to ask how I could help rather than wait to be told, to grab some younger guys and have more quality time with them. Because I know when you're one of those prominent leader guys, your time is stretched so thin through so many different aspects that you don't have time to necessarily deal with the small details, and to have someone dealing with them would be very important. On top of the on ice roles of less playing time, less critical minutes being played when the game was on the line, was humbling, but also, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And then I think it all circles back, obviously, to the finals in 19 that were so much emotion wrapped up into that. And, some players never make it to a Stanley Cup Finals and play 15 years. I'm grateful for that opportunity. When I left St. Louis, I said if the team I was playing on wasn't going to win the cup, I hoped it would be the Blues. And as much as that was a bitter pill to swallow that year, because I had hoped to win a cup, I was happy for the city of St. Louis. At the same time, my guts were ripped out from being so close and not winning it. So, that's my, I guess, 3-minute synopsis of my time in Boston. I think what I left out was the people that we did meet in the city were amazing. The people at my daughter's school, the people around the rink. I was just back there, unfortunately, on not good terms with going to Jamie Hayes's funeral. And you start to see some of the people that you had impact on and that impacted you and your time. And like my letters, really what was the emphasis in there was the people are what matters. And that really hit home in my time back there last week.
Good luck with everything, David. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Joe.
David, this may be impossible to answer given 10 years, an entire decade in St. Louis. Is there one memory that sticks out? Maybe one that you think about the most, even if it's maybe not the most memorable moment in the game or anything like that?
The one moment to me is in 2016, the Game 7 against Chicago in the Scott Trade Center, and everything leading up to that, knowing, everything that rested on that game. And I truly believe if we don't win that game and the lack of success we had in the playoffs in years prior, that it might be a complete teardown of that team because we just couldn't get past Chicago, and we couldn't get past Chicago, and maybe they get some more momentum from winning that first round and they win another cup. And, there's a lot of things that really pivoted on that game. Instead, we win. We beat Dallas in 7 games in the second round, and then we're into the conference finals. And it's like, we've got something here, and this doesn't need a full redo. This needs a couple tweaks, and we're right on the doorstep. Or it needs a couple bounces, or it needs one more piece here or there, and all of a sudden we're at the promised land. And I think certainly it happened. Unfortunately, I wasn't a part of it, but I think a couple years later, you get not that it was Hitch's fault or Mike Yo's fault, but you get a new coach that's got more of a workman-like background and emphasis, and guys accept roles, and a goalie gets hot, and all of a sudden that step is taken in quite a turnaround year. And I think we all felt that was a possibility after we made that run in 2016. So that moment, I'd say in game 7, I think Troy Brouwer, was the most seasoned guy and was a former Blackhawk and had a big game. That game was, all those memories of going in that game, the nerves, and just being on cloud 9 after that game are certainly burned into my brain.
So as strange as the circumstances may have been in 2019 when you're on the opposite team when you're playing for Boston, do you take at least some measure of pride in helping to lay the foundation for what happened that year?
I mean, I would say as all scars heal, that became more of a prominent thought. I would say it was a good 6 months to a year after that for me to wrap my head around that and to get over, I don't want to say bitterness, but just the disappointment and all the, my own emotionals that were real and raw and in my brain. And, the experience that I had in the finals that was suboptimal, to kind of start to patch that over, and then to start to see some of the glass half full moments that happened, and how blessed I was to play in a Stanley Cup final, and to see that the Blues did get a cup, and how grateful the team was, and where the organization and all the work that had gone into 50 plus years had now culminated in that ultimate trophy. And there are no more St. Louis Blues no cup trophies or jokes being made. And that's that to me was then a little bit of solace on that defeat. But in the moment, it was not very prevalent at all.
David, for a lot of us who were there that day, I think one event that always will stand out is you and the pig.
Piggy Smalls. I remember Piggy Smalls. And he took a poop in Hitch's office, which is kind of an exclamation point on that whole thing. For those that aren't intimately aware, it was in Chicago. We were down 5-0 or something like that, maybe late in the second.
They've been 5-1, maybe
5-1, and someone was supposed to write "roar back" in a tweet, and it ended up being "roar bacon." And we happened to have a friend in town, Miss Mano, that had a pig, and so I was like, "Can you bring that to the rink? That would be great." And so we just built on it. We had her little pet pig in the rink and let him walk around, and he pooped in Hitch's office, which again was better. And that's one of those moments that Billy Guerin kind of taught me that you got to have fun with this opportunity and what you have here, and enjoy every moment of it. And so I was able to pass it along a little bit with the pig at the rink.
it was an enjoyable day.
Yes.
David, you had mentioned, impacting players throughout your career, and you look at guys like David Perron, TJ Oshie, Kevin Shattenkirk, Alex Pietrangelo. These are all prominent players in the league now. Do you take any pride in impacting not only their lives personally, but professionally as well, and to see where they are now and the closeness and the relationships you've grown with some of those guys, Jaden Schwartz as well? I know there's many others.
Yeah, the list you have stated, guys, I think the friendships that you make when you play together are everlasting. And then, to see some of those guys succeed in the professional realms of their hockey careers, and know that they're passing that along to the next generation, because they're just good quality humans. And to connect with those guys, that really hit home for me last year when Kevin Shattenkirk and I were able to reconnect in a professional level with the Ducks, and just that mutual respect and admiration that we have for each other. Of, we got an opportunity to play together again, and that was kind of full circle for our relationship. And now he's still in town playing, and I'm going to be watching, and now I get to be a huge fan of those guys and cheering them on, and hoping for their success, so that I can have a little bit of a side saddle for what they're able to do in their careers. And those are, again, opportunities that I'm so grateful that I was able to take and to pour into some of those guys to help them along. And hopefully it was equally enjoyable for them along the ride.
Hey, did you pick today for this? It's the anniversary of the day you became captain with the Blues.
I didn't, it was in conjunction. It was supposed to be originally, I think, yesterday. I don't know what pushed it to today, but I saw that on a tweet and I was like, no way. And then I saw that it was the same day that Al retired with the Blues. So it's just, yeah, crazy how those things work out.
David, how special was it in that game in May to have the Blues line up? It was a kind of a crushing loss at the time for the Blues, but you don't usually see that unless it's the end of a playoff series.
Yeah, I think that was instigated by Ryan O'Reilly, and just showed me some of the class and the old school mentality he has. That after a game you can have that respect, and you can quickly bury the hatchet and shake hands, because there's things that matters more than just wins or losses at times. And getting through some of those guys, some of them were, I don't want to say, I was grateful for all of it, but it was, a Zach Sanford who scored the game or the goal in the finals. That's what came to mind when I shook his hand in that line. Other guys, it was moments of competing against each other. Others, it was, Colt Parayko and going to an Indy 500 with him, in a postseason, him and Petro, and, spending some time in the pits with Graham Rahal and seeing some of the cool things with him. And then, I think David Perron really got to me in that line, just of all the moments we had together, of on the ice, off the ice, of friendship that is lasting. I know that, when he was with Vegas and lost in the finals, had some talks with him, and he was trying to describe to me the feelings that he had not winning, and then I got to feel those a couple years later. And just all the history that we had, and then Torrey Krug on the bench with our experiences we had in Boston, Ray Borelli, and guys that you see at the rink every day that really care for you as people and pour into you and help you along this journey. My parents and everyone that night, it was an awesome night. So the Blues lining up for handshakes really meant a lot to me as well. And, I think that's good leadership by Ryan O'Reilly.
David, would you like to stay in the game at all at some point here in the future?
I think in this last couple of years, when I thought I was done with Boston, and the Ducks were able to pick me up and gave me kind of a second lease on life. I enjoyed the game. Not that I didn't ever enjoy it, but I don't want to say burdened, but I had a lot of, it was not just, hey, let's go play, it's fun, let's enjoy these moments. It was, hey, we got a job to do. We're mission focused. And this last year was like, I'm gonna have fun doing this. And there's gonna be times when it's gonna be tough moments, but we're gonna enjoy those too. And in this last year, I was able to do that. So I became a fan of the game again, and I just realized how awesome the game was. And I think I started to realize that some of these guys, and I'll use this word loosely, is I hate it on other teams, because I think in my competitive brain, I had to say, I hate that guy, I don't like him. I needed to diminish his abilities so that I could feel like I could conquer that task for the night. I started to become fans of those guys as well, and appreciate some of what they do, whether they were on my own team or on the other team, of like, I can appreciate their abilities. And so to come full circle, what I like to coaching is kind of, to me, it's more travel and more time than when I was playing, and my ideal goal number one is to be present with my family and my kids. And then if I can stay in the game in some role that allows me to do that, that would be incredible. It may be a year or two down the line, but I do love the game, and I'd love to be some sort of influence on a team setting, because that's really what I relished as part of the game the most, was that team setting and saying, hey, it's me and my guys against you and your guys, and we're going to win in whatever way we have to. So maybe in time, but immediately I think we're going to spend a year as a family. So thank you for that.
David, I understand you were on a call with the I guess Blues fans or season ticket holders. What was that like? And two, what's it like as a pro athlete now? You can come back to St. Louis in 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, and they're going to love you. What's it like to know you have that unconditional love from these fans?
Yeah, the season ticket holder call was first of all the largest Zoom call I'd been on ever. Second of all, it was great just to see that response of people that wanted to ask questions and wanted to hear what Joe Vitale and I were talking about for a little while before they got to ask questions, and just to hear their support of me as a player and as a team, and to see their continued support of the team and the organization that has had 50 great years plus in the city and is only going to have more going forward. So I'm grateful for that. Sorry, the second part of the question
Was just what it's like the feeling for an athlete to know you could show up in St. Louis 5 years, 10 years, 25 years from now, and that unconditional love is still going to be there from the Blues fans.
Yeah, so we were back there mid-August for Kyle McCullen was having a charity event for his Brace for Impact organization that he does, and just to see the welcoming we had at that event, and that was Cardinal based, and like I say in the letter too, of the moment at the Cardinals game after I had signed with Boston free agency, the ovation there, that really just drilled down into my heart of like that connection and 10 years there and connecting with the community, how much that mattered reciprocally of like, we love the city there. When we're there, it's like we're back home. And when we're not, and the people when we're there seem to think that we never left, and they embrace us like we were still playing there. So that is a special connection, I think, that is irreplaceable. And again, that will be lasting. For me, at least on my side, we will forever love St. Louis, and whether we end up back there or not, time will tell. But a special place in our hearts, and the people make it that way for sure.
I know
Are you
David
ready?
has all the time in the world now, but let's do 2 or 3 more for David.
Well, David, are you ready to get initiated into this alumni group here?
I don't know what that entails. I'm hoping that it's not as rigorous as my initiation into the NHL, but if that's what it is, I'm willing to pay that price to join that crew.
Do you anticipate maybe playing in any future alumni games here?
I would love that. I've got my bag. I brought it with me in case I need to ramp up for some action. No promises on my skill level. I guess it was never during my career anyway, but I'd love to represent the Blue Note and or any other organizations as well for alumni games and appearances, and whether that's furthering the game or helping out some other endeavors along the way. I'd love to be a part of those types of appearances, and that's always been something I've been a huge fan of.